It's kind of counterintuitive to think that great writing can lead to poor sales. Why is that? Well, I don't want to mislead you with the title in thinking that poor writing will lead to great sales. That's not the way it works either. Uh, you need really great writing, or I would say at least good writing. It doesn't have to be great in order to lead to great sales. So that's kind of a prerequisite. You can't have crappy writing lead to great sales. But great writing does not lead to great sales, and it's often the other way around where it leads to poor sales. So, why is this? Hello, my name is Bo Bennett. I have a PhD in social psychology and an undergrad in marketing. For the past 15 years or so, I've been helping thousands of authors publish and market their books. And I can do the same for you through our company, BookMarketing.pro. Sometimes it blows people's minds why you would think that my book is so good. And I hear this so often from authors. My book is fantastic. People love it. And yeah, sometimes it's just their family and friends that love it. But sometimes legitimately people do really love it and they have fantastic ratings on Amazon from strangers. But it's just not quite doing too well. Well, think about this. The marketplace is full of great writing. Again, that's kind of like the lowest minimum bar. The bar is set right over there. You have to be a very good or great writer. That's kind of the minimum. Otherwise, your book is never going to sell. So already you're competing with all great and very good writers. It's kind of like getting into Harvard, like your grade point average has to be like a 4.0 already. Otherwise, you're not even going to get in. That's kind of like the base. That's when you're there already, you can't use that as an advantage to getting in. That's the bar. That's the baseline, and that's kind of like what we're talking about with great writing. It's got to be great or at least really good. And I know this is a little bit difficult to judge, especially for oneself, because everybody thinks their writing is fantastic. And you probably wouldn't write if you thought you were a bad writer. So it's a little bit self-deception that sometimes works to our benefit and sometimes it works against us. And this might be one of the cases where it'll work against us. So let me just give you something about a little background with Marketing 101. And I'm sure you already know this, but let's go through the exercise with me anyway. If you remember from high school or for college or whenever, Marketing 101, it's about supply and demand. And what are we talking about when we talk about supply and demand in the marketplace of books? We're talking about not just the number of books versus the number of readers. Maybe that could be kind of like the general scale of supply and demand, but we're talking about more specifically like books within a genre. That's how I like to think about it. And of course, by genre, I mean like, is it romance? Is it nonfiction? Science, whatever. There's plenty of different genres, and you could go down to different levels. The more general, broad genre versus the very specific. So, how many people are actually interested in your genre? So, you've got the supply, and then you've got the demand, the people who are interested. I actually just had a client that I spoke with yesterday was talking about a very, very specific niche of books, which at first I kind of chuckled a little bit because it was so obscure that I'm like, who would ever buy a book like that? But of course, there's a huge community of people, and by huge, I mean like relatively speaking, who are interested in that very thing. And I realized again that it's not about how big that community is. Let's say this obscure community that likes this very specific thing versus people who like health and fitness, right? So we're talking about like uh, millions, maybe billions of people who are interested in health and fitness versus maybe tens of thousands of people who are interested in this small thing for this small community. But that doesn't matter. What matters is how many books are written on this topic versus how many people are actually in the community or how many people would demand such a book. So that's the trick about especially the business aspect of it, finding the niche is not just finding something that people are interested in, but it's doing that comparison with how many people are actually interested in versus how many books are actually out there, what the supply is. And are they really good books? Like, did somebody already cover this extremely well and yours would just be white noise in this community? Or is there an opportunity? Like, nobody's doing it right. You could do it better. You feel like you could do it better. So keep that in mind when it comes to marketing or writing or coming up with an idea, especially if you're interested in writing for more of the business aspect as opposed to just the passion about writing a book where you don't care about what the niche is. This is what you want to write and this is what you're going to write. No matter who reads it or not, you don't care about the market. And that's fine as well if you're doing it for the passion. So overall, just remember that great writing, it's not the key to success when it comes to book marketing or book sales. It's it's the starting point. And I think that most authors don't realize that, or maybe they just forget about it, or it's a difficult truth to accept. So you need to go beyond just great writing, and that usually has to do with marketing.